All right, so as promised, we continue now with the discussion on the prevalence of gender-based violence at institutions of higher learning. This, of course, in light with the brutal murder of a 21-year-old Capricorn TVET College student, Precious Ramabulana, who was found with 52 stab wounds at her rented room the past weekend. Earlier here on the show, we spoke to the Higher Education and Training Minister, Nzimande, on this matter, and he did indicate that he's been in talks with tertiary institutions to improve the safety and security of students. But the question really is, how prevalent is gender-based violence at these institutions? We've invited the students' movements. We have Tshepo Mohlomi, he's the Treasurer General of SASCO, and we also have Mandla Shikwambana, he's the President of the EFF Student Command. Good afternoon to you guys. Thank you so much for coming through.
Afternoon, Palesa.
Let's just first, perhaps, Tshepo, start by getting your reaction to the conversation that I had with Minister Nzimande.
No, thanks very much, and greetings to all the viewers. I think we would want to start as the South African Student Congress by requesting students and reminding them of the NSFAS cut-off date, which is in 2 days. Students must apply for funding. However, Palesa, as we have been saying, that gender-based violence, or violence rather, is prevalent in society, and institutions of higher learning are actually a microcosm of society, and therefore what is happening in society will actually happen in institutions of higher learning. Now, as the South African Student Congress, we are aware of these cases of gender-based violence, and we have been condemning them for a while now, and we are further saying that to Minister of Higher Education, the government, that they need to really start taking serious the issue of student accommodation and student safety. Many of our students, the minister has just admitted that 20% of our students only stays in university accommodations or TVET colleges accommodations. And now what happens to that particular 80%? We also want to say that we must really speed up our talks with the minister and the commissioner of police to say that we really need to now start taking this thing of gender-based violence serious by actually making sure that police monitor the student villages, where students stay, where students are renting. Police must be there, must be visible. We must introduce also panic buttons for our students. But what we want to say is that the issue of gender-based violence, it's seriously a societal issue. And it's a societal issue, we agree, Tshepo, but then when you have institutions of higher learning, those are sort of organized society, and I think really my question here is, how do we go about addressing it within that particular area or that organized society? Because I think that is where we can start.
Thank you very much, Palesa. First of all, I want to greet everyone and all your viewers. The issue of gender-based violence, of course, is a societal problem, and then that shows how sick our country is and how sick our society became. And also it's worrying too much to see all these things happening now and then, and nobody seems to be willing to take actions on them. Coming to the issue of the organized community in the universities and how to address this issue, it's simple. It can be simply addressed by raising often more gender awareness, and then we go there and then we speak to our people. We invite all stakeholders involved, including the police. They come, they speak to our...
But why are we not doing it now? Because the issue of violence on campuses is not something new. Students are being mugged, students are being robbed, students are being raped on campus. Why are we only looking into doing this thing only now? It's been there, it's been happening. You are correct, and that is, I can tell you that it's because of the arrogance and also ignorance that comes with the management of the institutions of higher learning. Is it not where you come in and as student movements? No, we also come in there, but remember, we are not the ones who are in control of the system. But you can be influential, and the resources. Yes.
No, that is quite correct. you would know that this gender-based violence, it's not that there are some men kept in the zoos that then come to institutions to do these things. In actual fact, you'd be very surprised that even in some institutions you'd have lecturers that are perpetuating this. And we've had several campaigns and student services campaigns regarding these particular matters. We've been saying that to our institutions that when we strike, when we protest, the police come with the speed of a lightning. But immediately when we raise issues that our sisters in behind staff rooms, behind the lecture offices are being abused, when we say that our students need help, we need to bring psychological awareness, and we need to bring even psychologists in our campuses to counsel our students. Our calls fall into deaf ears, because you would remember that for a person to commit such an atrocity, it would mean that there are other psychological effects that that person would have, either from growing up or either by usage of drugs or any other thing that would make them to trigger them to commit such an atrocity. Now, we have been saying to our students, to our institutions, that it is about time that we start and ensuring that we actually bring mental health issues and awareness campaigns, we bring this gender-based violence campaigns into our campuses so that our students can know what is this gender-based violence. And the other thing is that...
But what has the response been from the campuses, from the different tertiary institutions?
Like we are saying, the response is always in a slow pace.
But why are you there? Aren't you representing the needs of the students as students' movements?
Like I was saying, if you would look a few weeks or months back, there was a student that was murdered, actually two in the Western Cape. And I think you have seen that students all over the country protested for that. Students year in, year out. Sometimes in other institutions, media does not reach us there. But we do protest, we do go to our management and say that here are the challenges, how do we resolve them? 20,000 women die each and every year in the hands of either their intimate partners or in the hands of robbery and everything. We have been saying, we have been writing proposals to say that we need to really, it cannot be business as usual every day when women and children are dying like this.
All right. So, Mandla, I also raised the issue of lack of accommodation for students. Students have to travel long distance, walk alone at night from student areas, from libraries, and so on. And as Tshepo was saying that only 20% of our students in the country are accommodated on campus. Why are we still sitting here and still singing the same song? Many years later, nothing has happened.
No, the issue is that there's no one willing to invest in accommodation of students inside the campuses, by the way. And one of the issues that I've actually captured with one of the universities is that some of the university land is still owned by the chiefs. And when people want to come and invest in accommodation, they still have to via through the way of chiefs and so forth, and they block the process. So we are calling for a Department of Higher Education to say they must look into making sure that there is more accommodation that which is going to accommodate students inside the university before we can even consider going outside the campus for private accommodation, because that will limit and reduce chances of these kind of things to happen, like the recent one that just happened for Precious, because she was residing off campus. Because if you check in the colleges, the TVETs, there's no accommodation in most of the TVETs inside the institution itself. So we are saying the Department of Higher Education, they must look into it to say they must build more residential areas inside the campuses, because that will actually assist in making sure that we accommodate if then we can't accommodate everyone, of which is true, then we must then organize transport that will transport those students from to their places and also from their places to the campus.
Are you raising these issues with relevant structures, or are you just raising these issues on national television?
We do raise these issues in many cases, but we are raising it, like he said, Tshepo, that the people that are supposed to hear us, they are not hearing us. We are just speaking alone as a students' leadership, and that's why at the end of the day you will see the students go on to strike. The strike, you find, is just a mere issue, but it becomes a bigger issue because the students, they've got many issues, and including the issue of safety and accommodation in the institutions of higher learning.
Do we have enough programs addressing gender-based violence at our tertiary institutions?
I don't want to say we have enough.
Do we have any?
But we do have programs, we do have lectures, we do have awareness campaigns, we do have those kind of things. But I don't want to say that we have enough. But just to come back to the point of student accommodation, if you would look into many TVET colleges that used to have accommodation, most of those accommodations are being turned into offices, are being turned into government complexes and everything. And we have been fighting for such, but nothing has been, and a case in point can be Taleto TVET College, wherein the Department of Education has just taken a building next to a college. Those students, they stay there. We have been trying to
So you've been fighting without any success. Do you not get a sense that you failed the students in South Africa?
You know,
no.
Have you not failed them?
No, we've never failed the students. The government failed our students, because remember, by the way, when we speak and when we raise these issues to the people who must do all these things, they just sit on top of issues, by the way. I can tell you, like he says, there's a TVET college in Vembe, in Venda there, called Nzimande College. There's a lot of buildings there. But the TVET on its own does not accommodate students. Those buildings, there's nothing happening there. There's nothing which is done on there. And we have raised those issues. But why do we have these buildings, but then there's no one staying in these buildings? Why don't you renovate this building, accommodate our students? Because it will reduce chances of these students being robbed and mugged outside the campus. But no one comes to the board.
That's why I was asking if you did not fail the students.
We have not failed the students.
Okay.
Remember, we're merely a representation of students.
Who are supposed to fight for the rights of the students. That's why you're there for the students.
And we believe that students are their own liberators. That is why they take part in our various campaigns and protests.
All right.
Now, we are being failed by the system, and we must blame the system for that.
All right. We have to leave the discussion at this. But just before I let you go, when I see you, I'm reminded of a statement that was made by your president, Julius Malema, during a media briefing, saying that you are a useless leader. Are you a useless leader?
By the way, you heard it very wrong. And sometimes next time you must invite me, you tell me, but I will, by the way, ask you.
All right, what's your relationship like with him? Very quickly.
But the relationship is that one of the organizational relationship as a president of the Student Command.
Is it robust?
And then as a president of the EFF.
Is it a robust
but
one?
By the way,
is it a robust relationship that you have with him?
Not necessarily that is the robust relationship.
Were you offended by him saying that you are a useless leader?
We are not offended. No, we are the Student Command. We take critics.
Are you useless though?
No, we are not. And we have done many things in the institution of higher learning. They know us better, and that we are not useless. And they know that if ever the Student Command be disbanded, but
then if your own leader says that, what do you take?
You misunderstood him. Let me come to that point.
Time constraints. I'm afraid we have to leave it at this. We have to leave it at this. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through. Many thanks to my guests. Tshepo Mohlomi is the Treasurer General of SASCO, and Mandla Shikwambana, he is the President of the EFF's Student Command. Many thanks.
Thank you.
All right.